Hi everybody and welcome to the Faraway Tree Show. That's right, trees in the distance. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have some highlights, be a little bit on the pink side. In general though, whatever color this plus your sky is gonna be Faraway Tree Show. For the most part, so we'll have some blue in there as well. I'll mix up a darker base though. Trees, you wanna go too dark at first, make it lighter and lighter. I'll establish a horizon, not totally flat, to show it's a little bit on a hill. With that curvy line, that means it's not a flat horizon, it means like off in the distance. So now what I'll do is I'll come in here. This is a base coat for the tree. You want to see the height. And when I put the bushes in, or the trees in, what you're going to do, I'm going to have these trees as the base. I'll add some other color interpretation in there later here. So right now, with a bright brush, don't just paint like that, it'll look terrible. Take a brush, kind of coming down a little bit, and with those like you're chopping it up a little bit. And what that does is it gives you more of a nice little tree outline. So it's like, even though it's a base coat, don't do a base coat like that. That's a nightmare. You want to make sure it's going to be nice and easy to use. So here, got a little bit more color in there. Small strokes, and then this is all gonna go over. This is like a base. Want to avoid the systematic strokes. Now I'll come down here, this is a different height. And go slower than what I'm doing here, obviously. Magic shows speed, different than your speed. Otherwise it'll look terrible. Same techniques though. All right. Now that I have like the tree base, I'm gonna go a lot darker on the bottom. Bottom of the tree, to get that darker, I'll add a little bit of black just on the bottom here. Black on the bottom. And I'll ooze that up there on the top. And technically, oddly enough, this tree could almost be done. So that could be an A for a background tree. You can see it's pretty fast with this technique. Old chippy chopping, variety there. So that could be done. However, we want to do some changes to it. Make it even better. So with that, I'm going to add a little bit of magenta and blue for some highlights. That's the weird color interpretation the artist is requesting. I'll oblige. Cerulean blue and magenta, some of the highlights. And there we go, cerulean blue. I got the magenta. You should let that dry a little bit, but we're gonna take a little risk here and just go for it. I have some of this, but I'll mix it in. So it's like I got the green and yeah, so the purple is gonna be kind of like the magenta. And here, I'll come in with some lighter values. Slowly building that up. I'll go a tint. Where'd my little purple patch go? I'll add a little bit of a tint to it. A little blue, purple. And I'll start getting some color in there. So this is like a bluey purple. And I'll make a tint because it's further away. So the further away your tree is, the closer it should be to your sky. I'll come in here and I'll go over that with little blobs. So I'm not doing leaves yet. These are just blobs. Kind of like the last tree show. So I'm doing little blobs here. Highlights. And chunks. Going over some of the darker green, getting kind of a purple to it, and blue, matching the sky colors. So you could actually go, we're going a little crazier with the color interpretation. But you could actually do just mix up that sky color and put the sky color in there for highlights. But right now I got a little bit of purple in there to make it more magical. Apparently this is the magical land. And so right now it's kind of the same. But right here I have a really dark area. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add some more color and highlights to this section. When you're doing leaves, what you really want to do is make sure that your paint is wet. You don't want to see the texture of the canvas. So to do that, you just have to have really wet paint. All right, so now I got some darker values in there, lighter values as well. I'll do this half of the tree so you can see it, the difference. Now we got like the color interpretation we wanted. Now it's about the details. So with the shadows, I'll go back into the shadows. I'll do a little bit of black and magenta, getting some darker values in there, but not too dark because it's a little bit further away. So I don't want to go too crazy with it. So I got a little pocket right there. I'll do another little pocket right here. This represents where there's holes in the tree. You don't want to look like a manicured shrub at a Japanese garden. So I'll do another little section up here. Now I got all my purples in there as well. Started with the green, but now I got some purples. You see these blobs here where it's like a hard edge on the bottom? But I go over those with some lighter values. So to do that, what I'm going to do, mix up my tint of my leaf color, and I'll come in here and do just really small, using the corner of the brush. I could even use a round brush at this point. I'm going small round, people. I'm abandoning the brush. Going back to this little guy. And with this, I'll come in and do small little leaves that overlap the dark areas. So like right here, you'll be able to see them. So I'll do a nice job on those, just barely touching the tree. And over here, this is a solid blob, so what I need is to get some highlight leaves that go right over it. I'll add in my magenta, tap that in there a little bit, and go right over those leaves. And the leaves are kind of cascading down, so, and once you have these interior leaves, I'll show you how to do the exterior, which is kind of cool. All right, the exterior leaves, these guys right here, right now they're just kind of blobs with my big brush. So now what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll pimp it out with the nice little round brushes. So watch this, here it goes. Milk kitten, small brushes, small brush strokes. See how the leaves aren't even touching? They're kind of floating. That's what you want. Not all over the place, otherwise it looks like a spider. So you want to do some, but not all of them. I'll pimp this out. Once again, that tree could have been finished on the first layer. You don't have to go this much detail for the background trees. But once again, I have a tough audience. Okay. And your writing is terrible. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here, purplish leaves, and I'll come in here just like little taps. See these little guys going over the green with my purple? Then if you have too many of these single leaves, watch this, I'll put too many on, then I'll fix it. I'll do like a lot of little tiny ones, like right here, very well defined. To get rid of some of the defined ones, take your finger, barely tap it. Right here, I'm gonna have some of these leaves go into the dark space. So now the dark space is really sinking in because they overlapped it with these light ones going in there. And I think that is about it for round one. I can show you more details later, but people, we're out of time. That is an atmospheric perspective tree show in the background with a purplish cast.